right, welcome. Well, hello. How's everybody? Happy Friday. Everybody glad it's Friday? Thank you for being with us. Wow. What a great crowd. We're back in New York. There are a few conservatives, a few normal people in New York City. They're all in this room. That's it. Anyway, thank you for being with us. Busy news night this Friday. And not, for, by the way, for Joe Biden. He's back in Delaware for another weekend of rest and relaxation. We have full coverage of his latest cognitive malfunction. It was pretty bad. That's coming up tonight. Also, England's own Piers Morgan will weigh in on Meghan and Harry. Right? The royal couple reportedly, they are struggling to cope with a cartoon that made fun of them. These are people that say they want privacy, but they show up on Oprah, on Netflix, they write books. They don't want privacy, they want money. They're just lying to us. Anyway, first, we begin tonight with something really deadly serious, and America is now suffering from what is a severe violence and murder crisis. Now, in fact, countrywide murder rate is now at the highest point in more than 20 years, and it's going higher, it seems, every day, with another 4.3% increase in 2021 alone. Now, of course, you won't see any of these statistics on other networks because they hide. For example, in 2020, we had 574 riots, and they refused to call riots riots. We had thousands of injured cops, billions in property damage, and, of course, we had dozens of dead Americans, but they weren't riots according to the left. You won't hear about it from Democrats. They love to politicize so-called gun violence. Only when it's politically convenient will they talk about it. Now, that's because these murders are devastating, and, by the way, often happening in Democratic-run cities and towns because of Democratic policies and a Democratic narrative. Defunding, dismantling the police, vilifying the police, zero bail laws, releasing violent felons from prison, lax prosecution, and now, predictably, every night, city streets all around the country are lined with bodies. So the question is, how many more lives are Democrats willing to sacrifice for a narrative that is false? How long will they cling to defund, dismantle, and no bail laws? For example, recently in New York City, the DA dropped murder charges against the guy accused of stabbing a person to death over stolen shrimp, and then immediately released this guy from prison. And now he's only being charged with first-degree assault. Now, meanwhile, out in Los Angeles, it's not much better. The DA out there suspended a prosecutor for misgendering a child molester charged with murder who claims to now be a trans woman. Why should that be a factor? If you commit murder, you should be charged with murder. Now, she purportedly beat a man to death in the woods, but according to the media mob, the real threat to America, well, that would be Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, because he allowed his state to execute a violent criminal who murdered 2 people. In fact, many in the media mob enthusiastically promoted the murderer's final statement. Quote, "I know I hurt people when I was young. I really messed up. But I know Ron DeSantis has done a lot worse. I doubt he killed people." Now, keep in mind, Florida's crime rate has dropped to a 50-year low, with murder down 14%. And, of course, no state is immune from any crime. But take a look at your screen. Look at Flagler County, Florida. A 6'6", 270-pound high school student, look at this, viciously beating a teacher's assistant, striking her 15 times, knocking her unconscious. And in Orange County, a violent gang member named Keith Moses, he is accused of murdering 3 people, according to reports. Quote, Moses, armed with a Glock 40, allegedly fatally shot a woman found around 11 a.m., returned to the scene hours later and opened fire on a TV reporter and a photojournalist before entering a home and shooting yet another woman and her 9-year-old daughter. But when Moses was arrested, he whined and he cried and he accused the police of being too rough. Take a look.
Get on your face. Get on your face. Get on your face. Get on your face. They killing me. 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 Relax. That way. Don't secure that whole area. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
They're not killing him, they're arresting him, which is what their job is. Now, the guy's accused of murdering a 9-year-old little girl and a local reporter and another woman, at least in Florida. If he's convicted, he will never see the light of day outside of prison ever again. That's what every state needs to adopt. Everybody seems to agree. Now, meanwhile, in Texas, this newly released video is going viral. This shows a good Samaritan, somebody risking his own life, chasing down a drunk driver who attempted to run from the scene of a crash that killed a Texas police officer. Look at this heroism.
Think you're gonna leave. You kill somebody, you mother. You kill somebody. Stay right there. You stay right there, mother.
I don't want to mess with that guy. Anyway, but he did the right thing. Now, clearly, law and order is something that Americans value, and for good reason, because without safety, life becomes very difficult when you have woke DAs refusing to prosecute even violent criminals and recommending lenient sentences in the name of, quote, social justice. They are hurting their own community. So what can be done? Well, out in Missouri, the Attorney General is now working to fire a St. Louis circuit attorney named Kim Gardner. Now, keep in mind, St. Louis is one of the most dangerous cities on earth, and in return, Gardner is now playing the race card. Take a look at this.
While it is true my office could have done more, to say we did nothing is only disingenuous, but is willfully ignorant of the reality of our court system. We're going to fight very hard for justice in spite of the vitriol, the hate, the racist attacks, the known manipulation of the court procedures to make sure our office fails.